Welcome councillors and officers, and welcome to the Town and Community Committee meeting. Let's go straight on to the agenda item number 1, and that's apologies for absence. I don't believe we have any. Item 2, any declarations of interest? No, nothing. Item 3 is public participation. To receive questions and comments from members of the public on any items that are included in the agenda. I believe we have 2 members of the public who would like to ask questions. It's a maximum of 3 minutes. Just give your name, where you're from, 3 minutes, and then I believe they need to switch off their camera. Is that correct, Town Clerk? Once they've spoken.
Yes, if they could to switch off their camera and mute themselves, that would be much appreciated.
Okay, so Jeff Luckett, I see you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, for allowing me the time to speak. I'm, as you say, Jeff Luckett, Henley Society, resident of Lime Court, Harpston Road. I would like to speak in connection with the solar compactor bin item, which comes up later in your agenda. This initiative was first proposed to the town centre manager by Henley Society some months ago, and subsequently to Councillor Gavrijac, who picked up the idea and ran with it. He organised 2 remote solar compactor bin demonstrations, which he and I attended, and the second one was also attended by Councillor Isaac and yourself, Councillor Miller. These demonstrations were both comprehensive and convincing, and as a result, a 2-month trial was arranged for next spring and summer, and this arrangement was confirmed, as far as I'm aware, by this committee and subsequently full council. There now, it appears, are some councillors who don't wish to go ahead with this trial, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I would like to think they'd taken the opportunity to see a demonstration themselves, because I would be highly surprised if a demonstration did not win them over. 2 aspects of many which I liked about the bins were the fact that they are enclosed and therefore bird and rodent proof, which means that these critters cannot pull the rubbish out of the bins as happens now, and the bins are equipped with a sensor which tells base when they require to be emptied. This feature alone delivers a considerable cost savings in terms of fuel for the collecting vehicle and a saving in man hours, doing away as it does with the need to visit bins which are known not to be full. Less use of the collecting vehicle also reduces pollutants in our air. The trial proposed will be at absolutely no cost to the Town Council, because it is being financed by Councillor Gavrijac and the Henley Society jointly. That must be a win-win situation for you all. If at the end of the trial you have discovered that the new bins offered you no advantage over the current system, you can walk away having lost nothing. If the trial is a success, then we will need to find a way to finance the purchase or hire of bins. As I say, it's a no-loss scenario for Henley Town Council, and I robustly recommend the trial to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. If you'd like to mute yourself and turn off your video. Thank you. Councillor Gavrijac.
Thank you, Chair. I'll commend Jeff Luckett. He's ably put the case very coherently and lucidly. We are all aware that there are some grot spots in Henley where, because of the way things have changed from people actually getting takeaway cups and takeaway pizzas and takeaway packaging, that the bins have on occasions been overflowing. These bins take 10 times the capacity of the normal bin. Therefore, it's got to be tried in selective locations. We are not proposing, I mean, the Henley Society and I include Jeff in this, we're not proposing that we're going to put these bins all over the shop. We are proposing actually putting them in selective locations that might make a difference. Those locations are on your agenda paper as being outside Cook, at the top of Friday Street, where there is space, and also opposite the Angel by the tree. As Jeff has said, this is being funded by the Henley Society. This Henley Society is well respected throughout the town for looking after the historic fabric of the town, and they wouldn't be proposing grotty bins that they didn't like. We are proposing 2 bins in 2 locations. I am funding it with partly by my Councillor Grant, just like I funded the Henley Basket, to actually for the betterment of the town. It's to actually make Henley look really, really attractive. That's what we want to do. We are in COVID. We do have challenges. And one of our challenges is to make Henley the best place to come to in terms of cleanliness, in terms of empty bins going forward. So therefore, it's a 6-month trial. If it doesn't work, then you walk away from it. And there's no cost to the council, and there's no problem for it. If, however, there is merit in the bins, then we will explore it further. But that decision will be taken in 6 months' time. We are debating the proposal for 6 months only. Thank you, Chair. I'll leave it there. I heartily I heartily hope that you actually support the recommendation later on this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gavishack. Okay, can we move on now to the approval of the minutes? Item 4, to approve the minutes of the Town and Community Committee meeting, which was held on the 24th of November 2020. Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I so approve.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Isaac. All in favour? Thank you. Item 5 is to receive and consider the management accounts and the financial report, pages 8 and 9 in your pack. Does anybody want to speak on this? Are we happy to move on? No?
To move, we accept.
Okay, thank you. Item 6. This is to receive and consider a report on the possible replacement of the or refurbishment of the Henley Heritage bins. And I, for one, would like to propose from the chair that we recommend to resolve item 4.1, replace through capital expenditure all 22 town centre bins with new heritage larger quality bins at a cost of 17,926.90 plus VAT, and an application to be made to SODC for CIL for SIL funding. Item 4.3 and item 4.4. Do I have a seconder for this? Thank you. Would anybody like to speak on this item? Councillor Eggleton, I saw your hand up. Dave, Councillor Eggleton, you're on mute.
I said I'm not seconding it. I want to talk on it.
Yes, yeah. Please.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to know, first and foremost, my name is down here as going out and doing a survey. I did do a survey on my own with Councillor Arla, but on this other occasion that I went out, I didn't feel welcome on the actual survey, so I didn't take any part of it, even though that my name is on this thing. I was there for 5 minutes. So the decisions were made by yourself and 2 other staff from the town hall. The on this recommendation about these bins that I've been out with Councillor Arla at a couple of times, and I've looked around all these bins, and I think I've got some expertise on when I go out looking at these bins. I'd like to know in this, based on this report, because obviously some of the councillors that are here today are reading this report based on, so they're going to be basing their and voting based on this factual paperwork, which some of it is misleading, to my opinion, is misleading. The when it says doors not locking, locks not working, ironwork is rotting, I've asked the question. There is no ironwork rotting. The only bits on the bins, on the galvanised bins, on the galvanised bins is the bottoms have gone. That's the line is inside. They are cast iron bins. There is nothing wrong with the bins as long as they're maintained and they're stripped back, sandblasted, which I used to do, and I've also powder coated stuff as well. So I think I've got a bit of experience on this. The stripping them back down and refurbishing them is a much cheaper cost. It's funny enough, you seem to have the cost of replacement bins. The way this suggests, this thing is suggesting there's no sort of like recommendation about refurbishing these bins at all, apart from refurbishing a few of them. There is, all you want to do is refurbish, replace all 22 bins. Now, originally there were 16 bins, 16 of the cast iron bins that was put into the town centre. And then they thought that wasn't enough. So they added another 6. These extra 6 bins were cast aluminium, which are slightly smaller in capacity, slightly taller. There's 4 of them located in the marketplace and one located outside Boots and one outside Robert Dyer's. Those are the cast aluminium ones. As regards broken, damaged, smashed to pieces, whatever they, what people are saying they are solid cast iron bins. There is 4 of them approximately that are not fixed to the ground. Why isn't that put on this statement? Because there's 4 of them not fixed to the ground. They could quite easily be fixed, as Parks has just fixed one of them to the ground, which is up by the church, which was knocked over. And that was fixed to the ground, which is a cost of about £5 and done in about 10 minutes. So as regarding fixing these ones which are broken or not fixed to the ground, they can be fixed. There is one along Reading Road, which I strapped to a lamppost 2 years ago, which I reported to the town council and town council staff 2 years ago, which was also put on Fix My Street. That is still strapped to the lamppost with my strap. Nothing's been done about this bin in 2 years. 2 years. We have got a problem with obviously wasting the things, as been explained, and the reason why we got are trying to have these compactor bins. To me, the waste at this present time, in this present situation, we've got more takeaways, so we're going to have a lot of problems with waste because these bins have been there 20 years. I think they work all right. There's nothing wrong with these bins. We don't need to be spending taxpayers' money on extra new bins when these bins are perfectly functionable. Yes, we are talking about these newer bins are going to be slightly bigger. So if that's slightly bigger, then that means that's more volume of waste. There's no waste report on there. How much more waste if you're going to have, the question is, I asked the question and the answer was, we're going to have the same amount of waste. There isn't going to be any extra waste. They're going to have the same. Well, if we're having the same amount of waste, why do we need to get bigger bins? Because that's the answer I got from when I asked these questions. We ain't gonna have that much extra waste. So if we're not gonna have that much extra waste, why do we need to get bigger bins? Bins, like I said, are working perfectly. What we need to do is address the problem with fly tipping and people putting and filling the bins up Because if you put 3 or 4 carrier bags of household waste in these bins are full up. Or if you put a pizza box in it, it's full up. So there's nothing wrong with the bins. I've looked at every single one of these bins, and I suggest before anybody votes on this issue about replacing all the bins, just to go and have a look every street bin in the town. The ones I'm talking about, the cast iron ones and the cast aluminium ones. My suggestion is like I agreed with Councillor Arler, is if you want to replace the bins and put slightly bigger bins in the town centre, remove the ones from the town centre, refurbish some of the ones from the town centre, and then put those ones somewhere else and refurbish the rest of them at the cost of about £6,500, not 17,000.
Thank you very much, Councillor Eggleton. Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I think Dave's really summed it up. I'll tell you who was very, very good on bins. That was Simon Smith. And he was expert, he really was. But Dave's gone round because he's passionate about this and he understands the problems. And I absolutely agree with him. We should refurbish them. We should not buy new. And I really hope that people around this table tonight will think actually it's £6,000 rather than £17,000 and we can save that money. Now, I just come back to the report because on page 7 of 7, there's a 4.1 and then there's a 4.3 and there's a 4.4. Now, 4.3 says, in addition, refurbished selection. Well, I want to know what 4.2 was, because I'm sure Nikki or Helen would have put a 4.2 on this meeting, which I expect was what Dave was saying, it was to refurbish a number of the bins for £6,000. So I know, Chair, that you've made a proposal already, but I absolutely won't support this. I would ask that you withdraw that and you go down the refurbish route first. The reason for that is, one, we refurbish during the pandemic. We don't know where the pandemic will change the street scene. We don't know where to add new bins. We don't know where we need bigger bins. We don't know where we need smaller bins. Yes, we've got a lot of takeaway packaging at the moment. That will change over the course of time. Yes, it's absolutely the worst time for bins and fly tipping in bins, because people who miss a Christmas, whether it goes from Monday to a Wednesday with a bank holiday, what they do is they end up with a week's worth of rubbish. They think, where can they dispose of it? Because they've got smelling food in it or whatever it might be. So this week, last week, absolutely the worst time for fly tipping in our litter bins. But I really think we should be refurbishing. As you're all aware, councillors, 5 of us put forward a 5-member motion for bins, and I'll come on to talk about that in the next item. We're very concerned about this. We think we should get it right rather than get it wrong.
Okay.
Spend a little bit more time and let's refurbish the bins and not spend capital money.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hampton. Councillor Hillier, then I'll move on to you, Councillor Arlott.
Thank you, Chairman. I wasn't against this before, and I'm not against it now, but I think that things changed so much since November, when we thought we were coming out of the lockdown. And I think it's the wrong time to be looking at this type of expenditure. I mean, I don't know whether we need to replace them all or not. So it's interesting listening to the arguments about it tonight. What I do feel is restrictive is having one recommendation to resolve on this paper when there are several angles that it could be approached. And we don't normally just have one recommendation. We're usually given the few recommendations, and then you can have a healthy debate, not just go to one fait accompli. And that's what I find difficult to take on board.
Thank you, Councillor Hillier. Councillor Arlott.
Yes, Chairman. I'll just cover 2 or 3 things. Dave is correct. I did go around with Dave to look at a number of litter bins, and I think he would accept all the insides, all the inserts of the bins they've had their day. They all need replacing. There are different size bins out there, which looking back probably doesn't make sense. There's a lock broken on some of the bins. That's a fact. They can probably be repaired. And around the bottom, where obviously dogs have been around there enjoying themselves, it's obviously damaged the paintwork there. And I haven't got the expertise of Dave to sandblast bins. You know, he may well have. And I was of the opinion actually to go for the
the £10,000, but having read the report thoroughly again now, and I don't accept what Councillor Hillier says, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of recommendations on agendas with just one recommendation on there, you know, rather than 5 or 10. If you put 5 or 10 recommendations, you'll be here all night long debating an issue. So it's always better to have a recommendation. If it falls, you obviously put another motion forward. So the more I've looked at this, and I look at it this way, and someone mentioned today, we are a tourist town. We are the jewel in the crown of South Oxfordshire. What anybody else will say, that is a fact. Why do we wish to lower our standards? These bins, someone said, 10, 15 years old, they can be refurbished. We've got plenty of other areas in this town where we can refurbish these other bins and replace ones that aren't as big. I know down at Mill Meadows, for a prime example, we've got some down there which are much too small, and these could replace them down there. The only thing I do not agree with on this costing, and I'd like someone to make an amendment, the installation cost of £1,500 is absolutely ridiculous. That works out nearly £70 a bin, and that's to put one fixing in the ground. So I would like whoever seconded the proposal to, and also the proposal, I propose that I'd like to ask them to cut that figure of £1,500 down to £750. That's more than enough to fix them. And I'd also like the carriage cost taken out completely. You know, the company that are going to supply these will make sufficient money without charging for the carriage and the £1,500 to fix them. So I'd like to see that. So yeah, I've listened to Dave, and I totally understand where you're coming from, Dave. But you know, looking at the long term, I'm going to go for the bigger bins, which we know we've had so many problems of late. And yeah, let's get it done. Let's get it done as soon as possible. Get it ready for the spring when we're out of the virus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Arlett. Yeah, I mean, I echo what Councillor Arlett says. We are a tourist town. You know, Henley deserves this. Let's invest in our town. I understand and I appreciate exactly what Councillor Eggleton has to say. I know he knows his stuff. He knows his bins. But also, Councillor Hillier, I know that me and you went around with the town and community manager and officer many years ago. We went round and we looked at all the bins and the grot spots. I then went around again more recently, and the bins are, a lot of them are, to my eyes, are in a terrible state. And it's got a lot to do with you know, that they have been refurbished before and they're just coming to the end of their lifeline now. And, you know, yes, we could go through the refurbishment route again, but we don't want to be having this conversation again in a year or so. You know, I think we want brand new bins, sparkling, lovely, fabulous looking bins in Henley that are going to give us a good 25 years or so. And, you know, and Henley deserves this. But Councillor Eggleton, and then I really want to go to the vote. Thank you.
Go to the vote. I'll shortly be leaving the meeting afterwards. After I've debated, had my say on the other about the compactor bin. First and foremost, people have been saying, oh, it's dog wee around the bins, which is corroded. How come these bins? I've been a town councillor for coming on 5 years. How come I've heard quite a few councillors just say that we take pride in our town and we look after our town and our fixtures and our fixings. How come these bins have been like this for the last 4 years? Well, coming on 5 years. Now, all of a sudden, we want to make a difference. These bins have been like this for 5 years, corroding away and rotting away. Now, certain councillors have changed their tone and changed their mind a bit. I'm not going to bring people to attention on it because from what I can gather, you know, there should be two parts of an argument. There should be one side of refurbishing and one side of replacing. Now, I'm totally in favour of putting bigger bins in the town centre, in the marketplace, and then refurbishing the rest of them. So you're getting your bigger bins. You've got bigger bins, you've got more waste. well, in theory you should have, but according to some people that you haven't. The reason you've got corrosion around the bottom of the bins, you've got the aluminiums which oxidize and create a white powder around the base of them. That is because that's salt damage. That's salt damage from when you put salt on the pavements during the winter time. So all the corrosion around, whether it's corrosion or rust, or some people will say corrosion, it is rust. Cast iron pillars have been around, and cast iron fabrication have been around for centuries and centuries. I can take you to cast iron pillars, Victorian cast iron pillars. Now, they're structural features. Now, if them structural features, based on what you're basing on, these have had their time, they've had their day. These are cast iron features. These are made. We bought cast iron to last a lifetime. 20 years isn't a lifetime to a piece of cast iron. I can take you to some cast iron pillars that are Victorian pillars, as good as the day they went in. They are cast iron. Cast iron is meant to last. Cast iron will rust as long as it's maintained and powder coated, stripped and powder coated. This will last you another 25 years at the cost of 6,000, not 17,000. I've had my say. I suggest all councillors, before they vote on this or agree on this, go and have a look at the bins yourself before you make a decision.
Thank you very much, Councillor Eggleton. Councillor Hamilton, can we be quick, because I really want to go for the vote.
Can I ask that you put your proposal to the vote, because Councillor Eggleton is most expert in this area, and I would like to propose what Councillor Eggleton has put forward, because he's really got on top of this. So if you could put your proposal to the vote, and if it falls, as I suspect it will, then I will propose Councillor Eggleton's, which I hope every councillor will support.
Okay, right, fair enough. Well, I already proposed 4.1, 4.3 and 4.4. Now this was seconded, I can't remember who by, but it was seconded. Was that
myself.
you?
I'm happy to accept Councillor Arlett's suggestions.
Yeah, that's what but okay then. We need to vote on this, and then we need to go back and then change it, don't we? Amend it and then vote on that. The amendments of reducing delivery and fixing by 50%, as Councillor Arlett.
Well, why don't you both accept it, Chairman? You could do that now.
Okay, well, I accept that, fine. So we could accept it all subject to reducing delivery and fixing by 50%. Is that correct?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Okay, so in which case I have proposed that has been seconded. Ian, did you second that, or was that, who seconded that?
Michelle.
It's Michelle.
Michelle, do you want to talk on that or sum up, or is there anything you want to, or can we go straight to the vote? Is there anything
No, I don't need to speak to it. I think people have done enough talking.
Quite right. Okay then, so can I have...
Not enough looking, no.
I can assure you, Councillor Eggleton, I see these bins every day. I'm in town practically every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, all those in favour? So that is Michelle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those in favour, that's 5. Against? All those against? 1, 2, 3 against. So that's passed. And those abstaining. Are you abstaining, Councillor Lambert? Thank you. Okay, so that's passed. Thank you very much for that. Let's move on to now item 7, which is the waste working group meeting. Councillor Ian Reisman.
You're on mute, Ian.
You're on mute.
If we're taking little 1 and little 2 together, I'd just like to propose that we note the notes of the working group, and that we adopt the recommendations surrounding the solar bins as recommended by the town and community manager with councillors Gavershak and Miller. I so move. I think the case was perfectly put by Jeff Luckett and Councillor Gavershak earlier. I have nothing to add to those points.
Okay, so that was a Was that a proposal, Councillor Reisman?
That's
there?
a proposal, yes.
Yes. Do I have a seconder for that?
Yeah, fine.
Thank you, Councillor Arlott. Do you want to speak on that at all, Councillor Reisman, or are we happy to go?
As I
to-
said, I was going to say Councillor Luckett. Jeff Luckett, I thought said everything that could be said far better than I possibly could.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, you won't be surprised, Madam Chairman, that I won't be supporting this. As you know, 5 councillors have submitted a 5-member motion for this item. That was submitted a day ago. That will go to full council, and that could be discussed at full council at that time. There's a reason for it. It's literally down to timing. The wording on the 5-member motion has been devised by the 5 councillors. 1, 2, 3 of them are here tonight. 2 of them aren't here tonight. It's a cross-party 5-member motion, and there are serious concerns that those 5 councillors have. These compactor bins, one, we've got a site here under a tree when it needs to have sunlight anyway, in order to power it. So that's probably not the best place for it to go. 2, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we really shouldn't be having bins that are unhygienic, that have got lids, added to the pandemic at this current time. We've got no idea what the shape of the town will be, or the shrinkage of the town will be in 3 months or 6 months time. We've got adding extra lids that people are going to touch. And I've been out before Christmas and I went to see one. And what did I find? But it didn't work. All right. Now, I don't know whether this company's right or wrong. I don't know whether this launch would be right or wrong, but I'm telling you now, I trust Councillor Eggleton, who is expert in this area. I trust AD, our street cleaner, who is expert in this area. I don't trust Councillor Gavashak, who put us in the mess with the Waste Working Group 3 years ago. So I've spoken to the operative, I've spoken to Dave Eggleton, I've spoken to the town clerk. I don't think we should go ahead with this launch. And this current time, let's just park it. Yes, we can discuss it again in 6 months' time. And then after the pandemic, we can then put the bins in the right place rather than the wrong place. That's all I've got to say at this current time. Councillor Eggleton's next, I think.
Thank you. Very quickly, town and community, then I'll come on to you, Councillor Eggleton.
So we've done a great deal of due diligence as officers once this project came across to us. We've spoken to the company. The location by the river is not under a tree, and they think is totally will be totally fine with the solar panels. They are in the Hart Street Tavern. They've been using them for a long time, if you want to go and see one in action. And we have done as much due diligence as we can to make this trial work, which was what we were asked to do.
Thank you very much. Councillor Eggleton.
Yeah, under a tree, that was what I was suggested. I was told that it was going under, replacing the bin up on the thing opposite the angel over the bridge next to the bin. Well, that is under a tree. So where else is there? Ain't no other place up around there that you think. I've asked the question, who's emptying these bins and how are they emptied? If they contain 5-6 times the amount of waste, it won't be 80 that was doing it. I'm under the assumption I've waited for someone to come back to me to find out, is it a truck that comes out and picks these up? So if it is a truck that needs to pick them up, they need to be accessible. And also, first and foremost, who's done the report or who's done a report based on where these should go? Because if you've got a bin which is going to take 5 times or 6 times the amount of waste of which a normal bin will take, then who's done the survey to find out where the best place is for these bins? Because I don't think Sarah Miller and Councillor Gavashak have got the expertise to put those bins in those places where they've located them. End of story, leaving meeting. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, Dave. Thanks for coming. Can I just say that
I can tell you something else as well. Just before I leave, I'm resigning from HRG. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye. I would just like to say, I know Helen was in talks with AD and I believe Nikki as well. We haven't just planted these bins anywhere. It's taken a lot of thought where they were put. I still don't understand why Councillor Hamilton and Councillor Eggleton and Councillor Hillier, I don't understand what the problem is. There is no cost to us. It's a trial. It's 6 months. It could be the best thing. I don't understand what the problem is, and I'm quite keen to find out. Councillor Hillier, please, unless I'm being really silly, please explain to me.
Yeah, I think Dave said it actually. There's not enough detail in the trial about who's going to empty the bins, etc., how often they're going to be. It just wanted a bit more information to support it. And I just think it's a bad time to be doing a trial at the moment, actually. And it's not going to be significant enough, because very soon you might see takeaways closed because the rules are tightening. I think at this moment in time is the wrong time. And that's why I don't support it, purely actually on timing and detail.
So that is the only reason. It's not the
Yes.
law, it's just
Yeah.
the time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Helen, your hand was up.
Yeah, so it would be emptied by SODC. There's it was all actually in the presentation, which was brought to TNC, and I believe at least 4 councillors have seen, telling everyone how it worked. In terms, there's a data pack which is in it, which is run by the solar panel. It tells you when it's 90% full, or you can set that percentage, and it would be factored into our regular collections from SODC. They would both be positioned in places where we have bins, which will be removed for the 6-month trial, but we will keep those bins. The one which everyone is saying is under a tree is further over near the traffic lights, next to the green rectangular box, which has the traffic light stuff in it. And we have spoken to the company to make sure that everything would work for the 6 months as a trial.
Yeah, thank you very much for clarifying that. I'm keen to go for the vote here. Councillor Arlott, Councillor Hamilton, and then I think that's it. Councillor Arlott.
Yeah, I just pick up a couple of comments from these so-called experts. When I got back on this council about just over 2.5 years ago, I remember about a week after, there was a mountain of rubbish outside Starbucks, and I think Councillor Hamilton should apologise to Councillor Gavashak, because Councillor Gavashak has worked his backside off to get rid of those hundreds of bags that were left on the street under the regime of the Conservatives. Obviously, Councillor Hamilton. That's a fact. That's a fact. I've seen this. Excuse me, I'm talking. Chairman, I'm talking. Thank you.
Great news.
So that's a fact, and I'll send Councillor Hamilton the pictures after the meeting. Councillor Gavashak has worked his backside off for this. You know, we don't want to see rubbish on the streets, and this is a way that we can cut down a lot of the litter that's taking place at this moment in time. It's beyond recognition how people can vote or even think about voting against this when it's not costing the town council an absolute penny. I'm convinced, from what I've heard from other people, that this will be excellent. It's going to work really well. And for the reason of COVID, not to do that, I just can't understand that. I get so many negative vibes from Councillor Hamilton. I just wonder how he ever runs a business. I really do, because he's just so negative on everything this council wants to do. So I am fully supportive of this, Chairman. And when you go for the vote, let's push it through. Thank you very much.
Okay. Right, Councillor Hamilton, let's be brief now.
Thank you. I hear Councillor Arlott's points. He's obviously had a long day of me, but I'm only holding to him account, and I'm also looking after the people of Henley and the taxpayers' money. How much? Let's ask around the table. How much does it cost to call out this company to come and mend this bin during the trial? £150 call-out charge. That's what Dave's concerned about. Dave's concerned because he cares about the town. Yes, he might have resigned from HRG tonight, but he cares about the future.
We all care about the town, Councillor Hamilton. You don't need to say it.
And just leave it for 6 months
Hamilton,
Sign
you're
this
after your
and-
equity card tonight, and you're going to get it the way you're carrying on.
Hang on. Thank you. But it's a case of
Only
listen
getting to
to
control
Dave,
yourself, Chairman.
listen to Dave, and let's just wait 6 months and deal with it then.
Why? Why? I would like Councillor Hillier, and then I'm going to put a vote.
No, I was only going to say briefly, I think it's better to do a trial when it's business as normal, not at the moment. It's not business as normal, so it wouldn't reflect accurately in a trial. That's all.
Okay, fair point. Fair. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your input. There has been a recommendation a proposal from Councillor Reisman. All those, and we have a seconder. All those in favour, please, of the solar bins and being situated for a 6-month trial outside Cook and opposite the Angel, and it isn't under the tree. Hands up, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. And those against, hands up, please. Councillor Hamilton and Councillor Hillier. That's 2 against.
I concur with what Councillor Hillier says. I think that's a more sensible idea. There you go.
Okay.
Could I just ask a question of the town clerk? I'm unaware of a 5-member motion, town clerk. I've heard whispers, but I'm unaware. Can you just explain to me how that is meant to work?
A 5-member motion is submitted when a resolution is passed. Within the first 6 months after that resolution, then no more discussion can take place on that item, i.e., to rescind the resolution. A 5-member motion allows that to happen once within that 6-month period. It needs to be signed by 5 members of the council and submitted to myself at least 7 days before the relevant meeting, which in this case would be the next full council meeting. The 5-member motion that I received was to do with the motion passed at this committee meeting in October. Of course, it's tonight's meeting that has confirmed the decision to go ahead with the solar bins, and so I would need a 5-member motion to look to review tonight's motion, tonight's resolution, which then can go to the next full council meeting.
Thank you.
So sorry then. So you're saying you need another 5-member motion. So the decision we've made now is a resolved item.
It is indeed a resolved item, and yes, so it doesn't affect receiving 5-member motion doesn't affect the status of the item until it's been considered again.
I'm totally confused now. That's what
Yes, it is a resolved item, and so for the purposes of officers going about the business and then yes, it is. The council has resolved to go for this 6-month trial.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we leave bins, I just want to very quickly thank the town and community manager and the office manager for their work they've done on the survey, and also to Councillor Eggleton and Councillor Arlott for their input as well. There's been a lot of work involved in these bins, and I'm just very glad it's resolved and we can now move on. So item 8 on our agenda is the Henley housekeeping. We received a note to report detailing what objectives are being carried out to keep our lovely town looking lovely and clean, and encourage residents and businesses to participate in keeping it that way. I don't know if anybody would like to say anything on this report. Helen, is there anything you want to add, or?
No, I think it's, thank you very much, Sarah. It's just to Councillor Miller, just really for everyone to note that we are trying very hard. And one of the key things that we are trying to do in this time that we have with, COVID is to look at the town very closely whilst we've got a little bit more time on our hands to try to get everything ready for when we open up, so that we're not trying to do things whilst we've got, potential of tourists and visitors and residents coming in.
Absolutely. And I mean, although it's not on here, I know there has been concerns with the markets, but you guys are there, and it's if we can encourage people to keep a safe distance from one another when they are venturing into the town, we need to be safe.
Yeah. Campaign which is running, which we've been working with our communications manager Naomi Hutchinson on, so huge thanks to her. We've got posters being designed, we've got social media, and we've also got hopefully some press, some media with the Henley Standard and the Henley Herald, to really encourage our residents to be safe when they're in the town, potentially to wear masks all the time. I know it's not legal, but we would like to think that if you came to Henley, you had a very good chance of staying safe. So wearing masks all the time. Nikki and I have been looking at potential ways to make our markets more COVID safe, because we are still allowed to have the essential food markets. So Nikki's worked really hard with the traders, and we now need to work hard with our residents to make sure that they are as safe as humanly possible.
Absolutely. And what would you say to some of the coffee shops that are still doing takeaway? Because there has been concern, queuing, and people gathering quite close together outside certain coffee shops.
Yeah, we the campaign will include working with our traders. So once the posters are ready, we'll be circulating those and reiterating to all of the traders who are actually managing to do takeaways and keep their businesses going at this difficult time, how important it is that they also try to monitor their queuing systems. But when there's only one or two people working inside and there are more people outside, it is a very difficult balance for the traders. But we are looking at potentially, we have COVID marshals in the town on Thursdays usually. We're working with the police, and we do have, we are out checking these things as well.
And one other question, Helen, sorry to put the spotlight on you here, but if there are members of the public who are concerned or are worried about a certain shop that might be open that they feel is not essential, they don't feel it should be open, and they're questioning why it is open, is this something that they can speak to somebody at the town?
Sure, they can ring me. We work very closely with SODC, with the Environmental Health Department, who actually run the COVID marshals, and they have been out and they have checked an awful number of people, well, not an awful number, because fortunately all our traders are behaving well. There are some traders who people don't think should be open, but that are classified as food. So Mr. Sims, for example, but they are a food retailer, and so they are actually allowed to open. But we work with them, and they always come in, they always go and check, and they always report back. So we are on it. We also work with Thames Valley Police. So we as a town council are trying to make sure that our town is safer as we can make it.
That's it.
So Nikki, you had a point as well. Did Nikki want to make some point?
Yes, Nikki.
Mine was just on, my video was just through on the street cleaning. I don't know if anyone was in town today. You'll have noticed that they did some chewing gum removal.
Oh, yes.
Waterfalls went out and done a bit of around near the boots area to try and actually sort of remove chewing gum and just see how long it was going to take. So I've just done a little bit of an area just to check it today, and they're going to come back to us with a report on it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But you've got squiggly lines all over the pavement, but they said that will blend in.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Nikki. Does anybody else want to mention anything? Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, Councillor Arlett and Councillor Risen will remember Councillor Bland on a very regular basis talked about dog poo. And I'm going to raise the issue of dog poo tonight, because I think we've got a problem in the town. And it's not just in the town, actually, it's in Remnham as well. Because what people think, or dog owners think to an extent, is these bags are recyclable. And so their dog does their mess and they literally just dump them. It happens in Mill and Marsh Meadows because they think they're biodegradable and they're not. Well, they are, but they'll take ages to biodegrade. Go across to Redmond, it's even worse. There's probably about 120 dog bags sitting in the wood. And I think what we should do is get a campaign going to get dog owners to really sort out their mess. You walk down the pavements at the moment in Henley, and it's like an obstacle course at the bottom of Grays Road. For some reason, I think it's because everyone's at home and they're walking their dogs. I don't know how we can clean them because we can't go out and clean the pavements ourselves or run it's a working group. But I really think that we should be launched now with Naomi, getting a campaign going to get dog poo sorted out.
No, Councillor Housen, I've said that for a while. I do agree. Probably later on, we could actually get you a little high vis with dog poo controller on the back or something, and we could send you out once a week.
I think Councillor Arlott might be most expert in that function.
Anyway, moving on. Are we happy to receive and note the Henley housekeeping report? Let's move on.
I promise not to raise it next month.
I'm sorry?
I promise not to raise it next month, all right?
Okay, you do that. Okay. Item 9, progress report. To receive and consider the progress report, which is on page 26 and 27 of your agenda. Find mine. There we go. Helen, yes.
Shall I rattle through? We have a signage meeting booked in for the 29th of January, and there'll be a lot of work going on before that meeting. We have put the Repair Cafe on hold until the summer because of the COVID situation. We are just waiting for SSE to carry out the works on the New Street Slipway, and that will be transferred to RNA once that's happened. Response from, I've got the one without any headings. Help, what's the heading on 32?
Lighting, street lighting.
Street lighting, thank you. This was something which was raised by Councillor Hillier, and we've been looking into with Oxford, and we are also doing some research with TVP and the CCTV cameras as well. And there's just a note there, which was the response that we got from that. We also have, we're just awaiting a proposal. We're looking at the potential of doing a mural on a wall, which Councillor Miller is leading on. And we're waiting for some proposals for that. And also we just need to double check some of the logistics about doing it and how possible it is. So we'll more on that next time. Councillor Miller has met with the Phillimores to discuss a safe way to restore the fountain. And there's a meeting on Friday with one of the stonemasons. We're going to look at the getting costs for doing that. And we'll also be repatriating the pieces which are under my desk so that hopefully it can be rebuilt properly. And then we're going to set up a meeting to explore the last point, which is the potential of closing one of the roads in Henley to enable some other activities and promote pedestrian participation. Say more on that soon.
Does anybody have any questions on any of those items? Are we happy to move forward, receive, consider, and move forward? Where I have to say farewell and goodbye to the press, if they're in here. We need now to exclude the press from the remainder of the meeting in accordance with the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, as publicity would be prejudicial, I can never say it, to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of this business. So are we all in agreement? Can we hands up and say farewell to the press and